Hey guys, it's Rhonda. So today I wanted to share something that has been on my mind and on my heart for a long time. I probably want to share since January. So keep in mind that this is a story and it's going to be a while for me to get to it. But it's a very entertaining story. It's a story about resilience and perseverance and overcoming obstacles. So I want to share with you today my bullying story. I've wanted to talk about this for a long time, but it never felt like the right time to bring it up, because it's such an awkward, random story. But I think that the reason it's relevant is because that experience made me who I am today. And a lot of the things that people admire about me came from overcoming that trauma, and even today recognizing that that was a trauma. So I didn't want to, with back to school coming up, I felt like this would be a good time because it can start dialogue with kids, it can start dialogue with parents. So if this video helps you, or you feel like it can benefit someone that you know, whether it be a parent or a child, please share it, because I think that it's something that people talk about but they don't like to talk about. And I haven't seen any stories about bullying yet, and I know when school starts back they're going to start popping up. So just a little background about me and how I got to the point of becoming a target for bullies, not necessarily a victim but a target, is I was born into a military family. And I lived overseas and I lived on military bases until my dad retired as a high-ranking officer and we went into civilian life. Not long after moving into civilian life, my parents got divorced when I was 8, and I experienced what I didn't know at the time was culture shock. So at 8 years old, I moved to the inner cities of Cleveland, Ohio, which was very different from civilian life and military life and growing up on military bases and living in another country. It was very different, and needless to say, I did not fit in whatsoever. Those first 8 years shaped a completely different Rhonda than what probably would have happened if I had grown up with my friends and family in Cleveland. So we moved to Cleveland, and I'm the odd man out, but I really want to fit in. I really want to be nice to people. And I remember my very first experience with bullying had to do with a food stamp. And this is a pretty funny story. So growing up in the north suburbs of Chicago, where I lived before my parents got divorced, it was a very kind of like upper middle class, working class neighborhood, and they didn't have corner stores or bodegas or delis or anything like that. I mean, they had like a 7-Eleven, and that's where people got candy. Well, that's where I would get asked for candy, was the 7-Eleven. So when we moved to Cleveland, and they had these corner stores or delis or bodegas, there was penny candy, where you could buy candy, little pieces of candy for a penny. And I remember going to my mom, because the kids would go to the store after school, and saying, hey, I need $1 or some money because everyone goes to the store after school and I want to buy penny candy. And she's like, okay. So my mom rips out this brown food stamp. I had never seen a food stamp before. I didn't know what a food stamp was, and it looked like play money to me. So, and I'm in the 4th grade, so I'm, pretty smart, and I'm just like, what is this, And I'm like, I need $1, I need money, I'm going to buy candy, and this is very important to me. And she's like, this is $1. This is, and she explained to me the concept of food stamps. She said, this is $1, and you can use this to buy candy. You can use this to buy things that you eat and take it. So I was like mind blown, right? Like, to this day, the concept still, I'm just like, wow, that's so cool. But I picture this, I'm like this 4th grade kind of super nerdy, dorky kid, and my mom just tells me that I can get 100 pieces of candy with a fake $1. And in my mind, I was just like, you're lying, like there's no way, so me wanting to, spread the word, spread the good news, I come running up to the deli where all the kids are hanging out, and I'm waving this food stamp with all the pride and glory in the world, because I think that I've just been put on to this miracle, because I'm like, did you guys know You could not have known this. Guess what my mom just told me? Guess what I just found out? She gave me this fake dollar, and you can get 100 pieces of candy with a fake dollar. Isn't that amazing? You know, and their faces were like, and I'm like, why are you not like jumping and screaming? We can get 100 pieces of candy with a fake dollar. This is crazy. And I'm waving it, and people are like, girl, you get food stamps. And I didn't know it was something to be ashamed of. And that was I guess the catalyst for me becoming a target for bullying, because people are like, put that away. Like, don't nobody want to see your food stamps. I can't believe you get food stamps. And I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, what? Like, it's great, right? And they're like, no, it's not great. It means you're poor. Now, unbeknownst to me at the time, that if you lived in that neighborhood, you got food stamps too, because it was a low-income neighborhood. But I didn't know it was something to be ashamed of. So immediately, I became a target for bullying, because it was like they had something that they could tease me about or make fun of me, and it was aggressive. And I didn't realize until years later, adulthood, that forever I thought it was because I got the food stamps and I, made a big spectacle of it, and that was like, you tease poor kids, but we were all poor. I realized in adulthood that it wasn't about the food stamps. It was about the fact that I didn't have shame. And they did. And they couldn't understand why I wasn't ashamed of this, why I was actually kind of proud of it and, exposing it, because I thought it was great. And they didn't understand that. So they felt like, I'm embarrassed about this. My family has taught me that we don't talk about this. It's embarrassing. And this girl shows up from Chicago and she's waving this food stamp around like it's the best thing since sliced bread. And something's wrong, because we don't do that. So obviously it was, I'm gonna beat you up. So so that kind of happened. That started in 4th grade. That was when I first went to Chicago, to Cleveland. And that kind of went on and on and on and on. So skip ahead, 4 years later, my mom went to beauty school. She got her cosmetology license. She worked, she pulled herself up, and she bought a house in a working class suburb of Cleveland. So I got the opportunity after 4 years of kind of being picked on, bullied, ostracized, teased, isolated, all of that. That was my elementary experience when I moved to Ohio. So here we are, 8th grade. And this is where like the kind of trauma kicks in. We moved to a new city, or a new town, suburb, and I get to start a new school. And no one knows me. It's a completely different part of town, same school district, but completely different part of town. No one knows me. I get to start all over fresh, and I didn't want to be bullied anymore. So I'm just like, I'm going to just be nice to everyone and kind of be quiet, because I am now fearful that I don't know what might fly out of my mouth that could make me a target. So I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to kind of be like this quiet, shy, keep to yourself, but when you speak to people, be polite type person. That's what I thought would keep me safe. And in 8th grade, I randomly, I think we were maybe 2 months into the school year, this girl that I had a few classes with that I did not know her, we weren't friends, but she randomly came up to me one day and said, out of the clear blue sky, that I'm going to kick your ass. And she's like, just know that, and I'm probably going to kick your ass multiple times until I feel like it's been kicked enough. That was my first interaction with this girl. And my first response is, what did I do? Like, I barely talked to anybody. What did I do? She's like, it doesn't matter what you did, just know you're gonna get it. Okay, so needless to say, at 12 years old, my anxiety level went through the roof, because I know that I barely talk to people, I don't do anything to anyone, I do my work, I keep my head down, I barely have any friends, I'm not popular, and I went home, I talked to my mom, and I'm like, what is going on? And my mom is, well, they're just jealous. And in my mind, I'm thinking, what are they jealous about? I don't have Jordans. Everyone had Jordans at the time. I don't have Jordans. I had a pair of busted British Knights. I don't have, cool stonewashed jeans or jams or biker shorts or any of these cool things that were going on in the early 90s. I didn't have any of this stuff. So I didn't, my mom's like, oh, just ignore them. They're just jealous. And I'm like, well, someone's threatening to physically attack me and I'm just supposed to ignore it. I was terrified because I didn't do anything. So after that conversation with that girl, I decided to play sick until I could figure something out. So I didn't come back to school for a week, and I'm really just trying to figure out how can I get out of this. And going to the administration of the school was not an option, because I went to a school district that violence amongst the students is the norm. I mean, there to this day, there's fights every day, and it's just a part of the culture of inner city schools. I mean, I would have teachers say, well, if she hit you, hit her back. And there was no zero tolerance bullying. There was nothing. There wasn't all of the movements that they have now. There was just, deal with it. There was nothing. So I went to my mom. I felt like I couldn't go to the school. I didn't have a lot of friends, and all I had was this person threatening me for a reason that I didn't know why or what I had done. I found out years later, I mean, gosh, I was probably in my mid-20s, that I found out that it was about a boy that she liked and had a crush on, told another boy that he thought I was cute. And some way or another, it got back to her that this boy that she had a crush on happened to probably mention in passing that, oh, that girl's cute. That's it. That's all it took. So here we are. We're a week later, and I got to go back to school. I faked sick, and I have to go back to school and deal with this person. I didn't want to go. I wasn't going to do it. So this is when the dark thoughts came in. And the reason I bring this up is because every time there's a school shooting or some kid that does something where they, and people are like, what's going on in that kid's mind? I know what's going on in that kid's mind because I was that kid. After going on 5 years of isolation, being ostracized, being, pushed and picked and teased and made to feel horrible and physically threatened all the time. And I am not a fighter by nature. I have since, as an adult, learned boundaries and self-defense, and people can try me if they want to now, but that is through the experience of bullying. But put yourself in this kid's shoes, and I say this to say, with the school shootings and these kids where it's just like, what went wrong, what happened? I feel like these kids have probably been going through it their entire lives, and feeling alone and feeling like no one cared and no one would listen to them, because that's how I was feeling. And that's when the dark thoughts come in. The dark thoughts of, I've been going through this for, the last 5 years and no one cares. And this is going to be the rest of my life. So how do I get out of this? How do I end this? There was thoughts of suicide. There were thoughts of homicide. If I can figure out how to kill this girl, maybe she'll leave me alone. There were, and the two things with the suicide and the homicide thoughts, me being me, is my first thought went to, oh my gosh, my mother. What would happen to I wasn't worried about me, because at this point, I don't care about me anymore, because I felt like no one else did. I wasn't worried about me. I was worried about my mother. I'm like, what would happen to my mother if she found me dead? What would happen to my bully's mother if something happened to her, because that's her daughter? So I've always had that empathy thing going, even when I'm being sacrificed. So I devised a plan of avoidance. In order for everyone to stay alive, I decided that I just was not going to go back to school. That was just it. I just said, you know what? I'm not going to go back. I'm going to ditch school for the rest of the school year. And I think this was around November. It was like right before Christmas break. I'm like, I'm going to ditch school for the rest of the school year. And then I'll go to summer school and make it up. And then when high school comes, I'm just going to go to an all-new high school and like an all-new neighborhood and figure it out then. But I am not going to go back to this school and wait for this person to attack me. And I don't know how brutal this attack's going to be, and no one's going to save me. And in my head, I'm like, she could kill me. I don't know. So I'm not doing that. So I didn't go to school for 6 months. Yeah, I didn't go to school for 6 months. And I know you're probably thinking, well, where the hell did you go? I hid in my house. I got very creative. I had 2 hiding spots in my house. I had a huge 4-poster bed, and with a bed skirt, dust ruffles. So depending on where my mom was in the house at the time of my re-entry, I could either go upstairs to my bedroom and hide under the bed, or if she was upstairs, I had a hiding place in our furnace room. And I had it all set up. I had blanket, snacks, books, pillow, Walkman. I had everything that I needed to keep me occupied for the 6 hours that I was supposed to be in school. And then I had a little watch with a timer on it. And when I was supposed to be walking through the door, my little thing would buzz and I would slide out, and walk back in the front door or walk into the side door, depending on where my mom was in the house, and act like I had been at school all day. And it was crazy because there were times where I would be under my bed, like, reading a book with my little light from my watch, and I could see my mom's feet. Or she's like walking around, making up the bed, putting clothes away. And I'm just like, don't move. And I did that for 6 months. And the crazy thing about it is the school never called. And if they did, they never got in touch with my mother. Like, that's how insignificant I was, that no one thought to say, hey, Rhonda hasn't been in school in 6 months. What's going on? Do you know where she is? Should we call CPS? Nothing. Nobody cared, because that was the culture of the inner city school that I went to. Kids stopped going to school all the time, and they just didn't keep track of them. So anyway, I didn't go to school for 6 months, and I did go to summer school, and unbeknownst to me, that summer school was not enough to get me to high school. I missed basically the whole school year. So I had to repeat the 8th grade. I flunked. And I have to say that repeating the 8th grade was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. And it happened for a reason, because for whatever reason, the younger kids, I don't know if they looked up to me or they just didn't bully me or they weren't threatened or whatever, but nothing like that ever happened again until I was older. And then there were some traumatic attacks that happened, and we'll talk about that at another time, that were very similar to bullying. But I survived it. I survived it, and I learned to cope. The crazy thing is, and this is what I want kids that are targets of bullying to know, it never really goes away, because it's not about you. It's never about you. It's about whatever you have inside of you that triggers other people to feel insignificant, and you cannot control that. Trust me, I spent years trying to control it. Back when I was hiding under the bed, I had a busted Jerry curl that, wasn't getting touched up. And my mom was a hairstylist. I had, 2 pairs of jeans. I did not have Jordans. I didn't have cool things. And for whatever reason, someone thought I was cute, and it triggered someone to want to attack me. It had nothing to do with me. And there are ways to cope. I think it's changed so much since, this was 30 years ago. This was 30 years ago that this happened to me. So now there are people that you can go to. There are zero tolerance policies. There are, support systems for bullying, because so many lives have to be lost for people to realize that this is affecting kids every day. And parents, you got to learn how to help your kids cope. I mean, my mom, bless her heart, I love her more than anything, but telling me that they're jealous and not explaining to me what exactly they're jealous of, because I am not that great at the time. That's what I thought. And it wasn't explained to me in a way that I could have empathy and, not take it so personally, and not have the anxiety and not have the bravery to, speak up. I internalized it, because all I thought was, what did I do? So needless to say, I survived. I came out on the other side. There is another side of bullying, but honestly, it doesn't end. To this day, I'll be 42 next week, and I still deal with the same thing that, someone said, and this, that, and the other, and I don't like you. But I have learned how to advocate for myself. I have learned how to speak up for myself, and I've learned how to get support when I need it. And I think that is what we have to recognize as parents when our kids are going through something. My mom had no idea, it was as bad as it was. And I mean, I'm pretty sure had I told her, she would have figured something out. She probably would have homeschooled me or put me in another school or something. She would have given me some sort of option. But what our kids need are the coping skills to deal with real life. And in real life, just being you is going to trigger someone who does not know how to express their emotions or what they're going through in life. And you can choose to become a victim or an advocate. But it all has to do with how you receive the information and how you cope with it, and how you process how you feel about yourself. So I hope that helps. I know that was a long story. That's 20 minutes, but I'm glad that I got it off my chest. It was therapeutic for me, and I hope it helps you guys to help maybe understand me a little better. I am an advocate for people who feel like they can't speak for themselves or can't stand up for themselves, or no one has their back. Because I know what that feels like, to feel like nobody has your back. And trust me, it's not a good feeling. So one of the reasons I wanted to share this story is because I'm pretty sure that if one person sees my story and sees where I am today and what I've accomplished and the life that I have for myself, I think it could help them. So please share, and let me know what you think. And if you have a similar experience to bullying and how you coped and overcame it, leave me a comment below, and tell me your food stamp stories too, because I think I probably got you beat with the food stamp stories if you have one. I'll talk to you later. Bye.